Ivy Myers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Dial us up on the web at ntnm.org. This is our 799th show, next week 800. You'll be able to see videos from the last 8 or 9 years through the ntnm.org site. Well over 300,000 and climbing all the time have been watched. Community Policing Caps24.org. We want to congratulate Commander Al Nagoti for getting kicked upstairs even further in the new round of promotions. Al was formerly the Community Policing Sergeant in the 24th District, and it's always nice to see somebody good like him succeed. And congratulations, Al. We know you're going to do a great job in your new position. Jewish Chicago's coming out for the start of early voting. It'll be free all over the place. We're increasing the circulation sharply, especially in the suburbs this year. Any place you can find bagels or lox or corned beef, not to mention all kinds of other stuff. And worst comes to worst, you can always check us out on the web and, let us know. We're going to be on the web also, so it'll be available all over the place. It is important during political season that I find it, because some people think just because I have somebody on the show, they just might watch the interview on YouTube. It means that I completely support that person, and sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. But if I'm doing my job, I don't show it either way. It's important to note that this is a forum for the candidates to say the things that they want you to know. And there are very few forums on TV where somebody can talk this long and get out their message. So just because maybe you saw X on the show, and it's not always a politician either, it might be the head of some local chamber, doesn't necessarily mean I'm in love with the person or whatever, or it doesn't mean I dislike the person. It just means that they're important enough to be worth a forum. You guys can judge for yourself. And speaking of judge for yourself, this is somebody who hopes to be in a position where she gets to know a lot of judges, like hundreds and hundreds. She's running for the Democratic nomination for State's Attorney of Cook County. Certainly the single most embattled race right now in the upcoming election. And one I'm hoping I'll have a ton of views on YouTube through. And that is Donna More. How you doing?
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
First of all, my pleasure. And how is the campaign going?
The campaign is going very well. I always like being out and about and talking to the voters. And it should intensify right after the holidays.
I definitely think so. Usually the elections don't really start till a little after January 1st, unless the Bears win the Super Bowl, which ain't happening this year.
Well, this one actually, I think people got interested in earlier because of all the events going on in our city.
I mean, it's front page. Even today, I was trying to catch all the front page headlines to keep up and to be able to speak for today, and it's almost impossible. There's so much information coming out all the time about this.
There's a lot of information not only about the Laquan McDonald case and other video type cases, but there was a case yesterday reported about a Loyola student who was raped where the office had some issues in preserving evidence, and so they agreed to a plea agreement to a lesser charge of a misdemeanor battery. There was another case today highlighted about a police officer who perjured herself in saying that she had not shown a photo array to a victim when in fact she had, and this officer was not prosecuted for perjury. So every day we seem to get yet another example of failed leadership in the state's attorney's office.
Oh, very good. So if you win and achieve office, how are you going to fix that?
There are a number of ways that you can fix it. One is that, to me, it's all about leadership, and leadership comes from the top. But there are two key components to being state's attorney. The first is that you have to prosecute crime no matter who commits it. And that's a big statement for a small sentence. The second is that you have to be consistent, fair, and transparent. And if you are transparent, that enables the community to say, okay, I understand why the office is doing this. I understand why the prosecution is happening or is not happening. And it allows the community to respect and have trust in the office.
Very good. How many people work for the state's attorney's office?
There are about 900 lawyers.
And are these considered, jobs like tenure jobs the teachers have? Are they all interchangeable, replaceable?
There's no tenure similar to the teachers. There's usually folks start right out of law school and they continue until such time as they've gotten their felony trial experience, and sometimes they stay to be career prosecutors, sometimes they go on to the private sector.
Or become judges.
Or become judges, yes. We have a number of former assistants that are now sitting on the bench.
Now, in terms of the public defender's office, is that something you're in charge of? You'd be in charge of also?
No, the public defender is appointed by President Preckwinkle, and this does relate, though, to the state's attorney's office. The importance of the office is that the top prosecutor be independent, because that is how you get the best prosecutorial decisions, are decisions based on evidence and not political influence. And because President Preckwinkle controls the budget for the criminal justice system, she appoints the public defender, and now she is trying to anoint her former chief of staff. That, to me, is a definition of having a top prosecutor that is not independent. And that's why...
No.
And that's why I think that I am the most qualified, both because of my background and because of my independence.
Well, to tell you the truth, frankly, of late, and I knew Toni Preckwinkle when she was really a good independent alderman. But by good independent, I mean basically she at least had the gumption to stand against the majority. Now I think of her more as a powerful political cigar-smoking ward boss, or perhaps even a Sith Dark Lord. I mean, the idea that and this part is my editorial and not necessarily hers, although I don't think she'll disagree. If you're already running the county, the last thing you want is that same person, you mentioned independent for the office, the last thing you want is you don't want the person running the county to be able to decide who gets prosecuted or persecuted in some cases and who doesn't.
It's very important, and that has been the unhappiness with the incumbent, is that decisions are being made based on politics and not based on evidence. And there's no reason to just switch over to have that same problem. I'm the only candidate that has the background. I've been both a state and federal prosecutor. I've been in private practice, so I know the civil side of the law. About 100 of those 900 lawyers are in the civil side of the office, and I'm independent.
Now, I was reading, I think just, boy, I was up so late last night, I don't know if it was this morning or last night, but you changed the nature of the campaign. If enough money goes into a campaign, or if a person kicks in X amount of their own money, all of a sudden all spending limits are off.
That's correct. I did break the cap. I believe in my ability. I believe in my ability to run this office and to change the criminal justice system. And I'm not entrenched with any politician, but I do have the ability to give myself money to help fund my campaign, along with many of the voters in Cook County. So this race is important. We are at a critical time in our city and in our county. And if we don't start electing folks who are going to do the job and not worry about the politics, we are all going to be in trouble. So I'm happy that I'm able to help get the message out.
By the way, before I forget, and I should have said this in the beginning, I want to thank John Davis for helping get you here, and Brandy Graff. And I was actually just to tell you, I'll take a minor bribe here or there. So I was over at the Wi-Fi building for her event that Shalom Klein and Jake Weiss sponsored, and I did get to take home some wraps and some latkes and even some Manischewitz. So
Well,
thank you very much. I do appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. I'm happy that you and others were able to enjoy the food. It was very good.
Yeah, you had, well, I passed it out to my friends too. Whatever I had, it was very nice. So there's a lot of people that just don't like cooking.
Well, I would be one of those. I wouldn't be running for top chef.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So where does the campaign go from here?
So the campaign will switch into high gear after the holidays, and we'll start doing a lot of media, getting my name out there, getting my message out there. I hope there are debates. I think that voters in this county need to hear what these candidates for this office believe. I'm the only candidate that has put out a gun program or a gun policy as to how do we combat violence in our streets. Last weekend, Sam Adam and I put out an op-ed piece about policies and procedures in the state's attorney's office that need to change in terms of how they handle police shootings. I'll be rolling out a number of other substantive policies, and the incumbent has done nothing in that regard, and my other opponent has done nothing. So this race is about substance. It's not about politics, and I'm the only one that's providing vision and programs and plans as to how we shape up the state's attorney's office.
By the way, for the record, I want to point out that I have invited Kim Fox at least a half a dozen times up to this point. We are Facebook friends. It's been directly to her. She has seen them. She's actually been somewhat right now I'm getting ignored. Let's put it that way. We haven't had her on the show. You're welcome on the show. This is an open forum for everybody to come on and give us their opinions on things.
Well, as I say, I hope we have debates after New
By the way,
Year's.
I'd be happy to have a debate here for you guys.
All right. Well, if you're inviting, I'm accepting. I'll make sure my opponents know about it.
Cool. Happy to do it. I think we'll have to tear down the walls of the dining room and expand it a little bit. No, we'll be okay. We can manage this. But I would definitely enjoy that kind of thing. We used to do debates in other forums, like we'd go to Loyola and film over there in front of a crowd and things like that. And I still remember being shushed by Roland Burris, but that's another story.
Well, that would be something to consider. I think even one of the local law schools, it would be helpful for aspiring young lawyers to hear what we have to say about the criminal justice system.
It makes a difference. It really does. And, it's interesting to me how often people in school or in college don't really know what they're getting into.
Or first-time candidates.
Yeah. I mean, I almost went to law school, and the truth is when I covered criminal court building at 26th and Cal as a reporter, and I got to see what it is I wanted to do in the real light of life, I stayed in journalism.
Good to know, good to know.
So in any event, why don't you give us your campaign information?
I will. My campaign website, www.voteformore.com, VOTEFORMORE. It has on there a lot more information than I'm able to tell you about. It has the policies that I've been talking about. So I hope everybody logs in, and I hope you follow the campaign.
Very good. Once again, I want to thank you very much, Donna More.
Thanks, Salvi.
I want to thank John Davis, Brandy Griffin. Who's the other
Jorge
gentleman?
Ramirez, who's my campaign manager.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry we didn't meet formally before. I want to thank my entire technical crew, Sonny Hirsch. I want to thank all of you for joining us. And stay tuned next week. It's going to be politics from here through Election Day. Bye-bye, everybody.